we go to the weigh-ins, we step on the scale, you weigh the same thing I do. And 90% of the time, good, bad, or indifferent, when we fight, I'm and I know of him.
Yeah, Mo was my boxing coach. I was the one that pulled that dude back out of retirement from not training people. And when we started, man, he was like, "Man, you're fast. You move good on your feet. You do this." And he goes, "Man, we get you down to light heavyweight." And I looked at him and I said, "What's?" Yeah, I was a kid. I said, where's light heavyweight at? And he goes, "Man, 175." I said, "What's my other option?" He said, "Man, you gonna be fighting dudes the size of that door frame." I said, "I'm good with that. That's how I've been doing my whole life." But I tell you, like, and you know this, hitting them bigger guys, they're just harder. Like their body, like there's something in their bone density or their structure or their like they just get harder. Like when
They
I
have to. You hit it right on the head. They have to be. When you have to support the whole big bone thing. Everybody's skeleton's the same, but when you support a heavier load, you have more density typically. Your tendons and ligaments are thicker and stronger, and so that's how you're able. I mean, man, it's a whole different ball game for sure. I know sparring with some of these big guys that I sparred with, I'm like, man, I can cover up and do everything I want. It's still gonna knock me back to
yeah
when I get hit.
yeah. Cause like that's what we always talked about. I was like, man, that dude felt like a piece of iron when I hit him in the head. I was like, man, like, and like I don't have like I'm only 5'10". Like I should have not. I should have took his advice and went down to light heavyweight. But instead, I liked eating steak. So I was like, man, I'm good. I'm steak and potatoes. I gotta have them carbs in there. You know what I mean? And so we're sitting there, and like I had more hand wrist injuries, and like I said, when I started trying again, I blew out that bicep tendon. I was like, man, I was like, all right, I'm good. I used all my tough up. I'm done now. Now, the thing people don't get when you talk about records, you fought some tough dudes. Like you don't back down from anybody. If someone throws a fight at you, you're there.
I can honestly say, and that's something I take a lot of pride in, because I've never been offered a fight that I said no to unless it was just I can think of maybe one, and the kid was just super green, and he had a losing record, and it wasn't going to advance either one of us.
Yep.
And then I ended up with Solo, who like that kid, like I said, who beat the brakes on me. So, and I have no problem saying that, and that's something that I take a lot of pride in. And when I talk to our young guys in the gym, I look at it like this, and this goes back to my wrestling days. We go to the weigh-ins, we step on the scale, you weigh the same thing I do. And 90% of the time, good, bad, or indifferent, when we fight, I'm going to weigh more.
Yep.
And so, to me, it is what it is. It's going to come down to skill level and who's doing what and who's trained harder. And I've bitten off a lot, and like I said, it's hurt my record a little bit.
Yep.
But on the flip side of it, I think everybody knows that I'm a tough fight.
Absolutely.
And that I'm going to come to scrap. And
you come to get it.
They're going to have to finish me, or be prepared to be finished, because it's a push pace that I'm going to put on somebody.
Absolutely. And like I didn't, no disrespect in any means, but and I'm sure you get this a lot, being a doctor, I didn't know how real of an MMA fighter you were going to be. You know what I mean? Like when you're like, everyone's like, oh, he's a doctor. I was like, oh, okay. And then they're like, oh, he's a fighter. You're like, oh, I fight. I was like, okay, that's cool. I didn't know if because you get some people that it's just a hobby. You know what I mean? Or you get those guys that say, well, I want to do it one time. And I tell them, don't do this. Go skydiving.
Yeah.
I'm like, because this ain't a one-time bucket list challenge thing that you do. Because this is real life. You get in there and you get hurt.
Well, and I tell people that a lot. and it has been kind of a neat thing. 'Cause the exact same response you had, I get from a lot of folks, and my medical clinic's a big deal because now it's kind of grown. A lot of people know
Mm-hmm.
that what I do, and they'll come watch the fights and stuff. And like my brother-in-law, he's really, really thinking about a fight right now, and he's a couple years older than I am. He's stout. He's very, very stout, but he's never fought before. He's
Mm-hmm.
wrestled a little bit in high school and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and he's just tough. And I told him the other day, I said, brother, if you fight, man, it's kind of like getting a tattoo. You typically don't just do one.
Mm-mm.
And it's there's just something to describe it. River Spirit, and that's kind of why I wanted to take a step back from River Spirit for a minute, because I fought there so many times.
Yep.
You walk out, man, and there's 2,000 or 3,000 people there. That's a big deal. It's
Yep.
kind of it's a cool thing. When I fought Stephen Wynn up in EFC, man, there was 3,000 4,000 there at the Kansas Star Casino. That was a rad experience. I mean, it's a big deal when you walk out with that many people there.
Absolutely.
And that's a oh man, it's hard to describe.
No, and until you go through there, people don't understand that. They don't understand the rush of your music hitting and you walking out, and there's people cheering for you or booing you,
Yeah.
and but the funny thing is you never hear that. Like, you don't hear the crowd. You don't hear, and people don't get the psychological side of it, because I think most of the psychological is more than the fighting part. Like, because there's so much you got to block. Like, if I get in a fight in the street, it's only going to last 20 seconds tops. And someone's going to break it up. Someone pulls it apart. Whether it's cops, bouncers, someone in the street, whatever. But you go in here, it's just you, man versus man, some rules, and a guy in there that makes sure you don't die. That's it. Because
And I'll tell you, you'll notice it at FCF, and you probably have noticed it subconsciously in the past. So my coach, Craig Blacklock, and now that I'm mentioning it, I bet you catch up on it. But so what'll happen is we'll walk out to the cage, he'll grease me up, and then we'll walk in. He'll go around to the corner, and the first thing, and as he's walking around, you'll hear him say, "Hear my voice." And he says it very loud, but very distinctly.
Okay.
And I can actually, while I'm staring across, I can hear him,
yeah,
and then I can pinpoint where he's at. And that has helped me because I can zone everything else out. I won't hear anybody else. I won't
Yep.
hear the crowd, but I always hear his voice. And there's been some fights I've won, and it's funny because you go back and watch the play-by-play, you'll hear him holler out something. Like, we'll be on the ground, and he'll see a sub coming, and he'll yell it out, and I'll immediately do whatever he yelled out, stop the sub, and finish the fight.
yep.
But you're absolutely right, man. And that's probably a big thing. It's just like wrestling to me. It's like everything else. Like, it's dependent upon you and how you're going to perform.
Like I always told people, when I fought, I was Andy Ruiz before Andy Ruiz. So like I walked out, and the general public doesn't understand body